Glad to have you back. Days after being declared Ebola-free for the fourth time since a 2013 outbreak in West Africa, normalcy is returning to Liberia. The country has been under a 90-day period of heightened surveillance since June the 9th to ensure that any new case is identified quickly. Despite being declared Ebola-free in January, the World Health Organization has warned of possible flare-ups in West Africa. Liberia, Sierra Leone and Guinea were the hardest hit nations. In March, WHO downgraded the health risk of the Ebola virus after nearly 2 years at the level of a global emergency. Kidney failure usually occurs when the blood supply to the kidney is suddenly interrupted or when the kidneys become overloaded with toxins. Causes include accidents, injuries, or complications from surgeries in which the kidneys are deprived of normal blood flow for an extended period of time. Nephrologist Ebun Bangboye talked earlier about how Africans seem to be affected more by the disease.
Quite precise with the statistics you quote. It's been stated in parts of the world where you have people of African origin that the prevalence and incidence of kidney failure is 4 times more in people of African origin than any other racial group. There have been several reasons as to why that is. First of all, it could mean that people of African origin generally have slightly, in terms of, their exposure and their capacity to be able to detect illnesses is probably not as good as other parts of the world. But this isn't the
UN Secretary General Ban Ki-moon is again calling attention to the dangers of desertification. According to the UN scribe, desertification, land degradation, drought and climate change are interconnected. The warning now is that as a result of land degradation and climate change, the severity and frequency of drought have been increasing along with floods and extreme temperatures. Environmental advocate Mfon Edet gives more insight into the dangers.
The effect of desertification and droughts is affecting everyone, because it's the problem that we have in the northern part of the country that is making all the herdsmen coming down to the southern part. 2010, Nigeria, alongside other countries, other African countries, signed the convention on the Great Green Wall project. And then in 2013, 2014, Nigeria went forward to implement it in about 11 states of the Federation. And then this project was to cushion the effect of the desertification.
7 people were killed in a shootout inside the Makindye military police barracks outside Uganda's capital, Kampala. Uganda People's Defense Forces spokesman Colonel Paddy Ankunda confirmed the attack, saying most of the dead were civilian women and children of the soldiers in the barracks. The barracks, which houses an elite unit of the army, has been sealed off, and the motive for the shooting spree is still unknown. Lord's Resistance Army rebels have kidnapped 17 people from a village in Eastern Central African Republic. The rebels are notorious for mutilating civilians and kidnapping children for use as fighters. Arrest warrants have been issued by the International Criminal Court (ICC) for the LRA's messianic leader Joseph Kony and other senior commanders. The rebels struck on Monday, snatching 3 people in the morning and forcing them to carry their goods before releasing them in the evening.
What we want at this stage is to create conditions whereby the Lord Resistance Army is unable to recruit, unable to refurbish its arms, as it were. And the opportunity offered by the withdrawal plan by the Ugandan army from that region of Obo, where it operates, give an opportunity of the LRA to try to show its strength. So the international community should not allow this.
Ex-Congolese Army General and former presidential candidate Jean-Marie Michel Mokoko has been jailed. His lawyer confirmed that General Mokoko was jailed after being charged with breaching internal state security and illegal possession of weapons of war and ammunition. He was detained on Tuesday for questioning by security services over a viral video in which he spoke about plans to overthrow the incumbent president, Denis Sassou Nguesso. General Mokoko ran unsuccessfully against Congo's president, Denis Sassou Nguesso, in the last election. Liberal White House hopeful Bernie Sanders says he is ready to work with rival Hillary Clinton in order to best presumptive Republican nominee Donald Trump. Sanders has declined to bow out of his race against Hillary Clinton, declaring that his political revolution must continue and is urging supporters to help reform the Democratic Party.
The major political task that together we face in the next 5 months is to make certain that Donald Trump is defeated and defeated badly. And I personally intend to begin my role in that process in a very short period of time. But defeating Donald Trump cannot be our only goal. We must continue our grassroots effort to create the America that we know we can become. And we must take that energy into the Democratic National Convention on July 25th in Philadelphia, where we will have more than 1,900 delegates.
Meanwhile, Republican presidential candidate Donald Trump says that President Barack Obama is blaming guns for the Orlando shooting, but that he will protect the Second Amendment. Obama had earlier met survivors and relatives of the Orlando gay nightclub shooting and said the United States must act to control gun violence and fight what he called homegrown terrorism. U.S. Senator John McCain said Obama was, quote, directly responsible, end quote, for attacks on Americans because of policies that contributed to the rise of the Islamic State. But the Arizona Republican later said he misspoke.
Today, we are reminded of what is good, that there is compassion and empathy and decency, and most of all, there is love. That's the Orlando that we've seen in recent days, and that is the America that we have seen. This afternoon, the Vice President and I had the opportunity to meet with many of the families here. As you might imagine, their grief is beyond description. Through their pain and through their tears, they told us about the joy that their loved ones had brought to their lives. They talked about their sons or their daughters. So many young people in their 20s and 30s. So many students who were focused on the future.
ISIS is working very hard to come into the West. They're working very hard to come into our country, and they are working very hard. And you saw what one sleazebag can do. One sleazebag over the weekend, what he did, the horror that he wreaked on us as a nation. One person laughing as he's shooting, doing Facebook posts as he's shooting, calling people as he's shooting, and killing people, and no more, folks, and just no more. And you know, the gay community, the LGBT community, frankly, the LGBT community, these are people that had a place, and this was a place of safety. This is a place where people felt safe.
Colombia's President Juan Manuel Santos says the leftist FARC rebel group is prepared to return to the battlefield, especially in urban areas, if peace negotiations with the government fall apart. The Revolutionary Armed Forces of Colombia have been holding peace talks for 3.5 years in an effort to put an end to more than 5 decades of war in the country. Santos said at the World Economic Forum's Latin America meeting in Medellin that he got information that the rebels were battle-ready if talks failed. This, Santos said, made it imperative that a deal be reached. The FARC declared a unilateral ceasefire nearly a year ago, and the government has halted bombings on rebel camps while the talks continue. The two sides last week announced a deal on joint eradication of illicit crops. The International Association of Athletics Federations has upheld the ban on Russia's track and field team. The decision means Russian athletes will not compete at this summer's Olympic Games in Rio de Janeiro. A fresh WADA report on Wednesday made yet more damaging claims that Russian athletes have continued to fail anti-doping tests and stated that drug officers were faced with a lack of compliance when attempting to carry out their duties. IAAF head Sebastian Coe at a press conference in Vienna said although good progress has been made, the IAAF Council was unanimous that the Russian Athletic Federation had not met the reinstatement conditions.
The Russian Federation remains suspended and the rule change looks at the potential for athletes that are outside of that system to potentially return to international competition, but once reviewed by our Doping Review Board.
And that's TVC News at this hour. For more detail, visit our website tvcnews.tv and also join the conversation on our social media platforms using @TVC Connect. Thanks for watching. I am Oluyemisi Dada.